Hey everyone, I thought I'd take a moment to go through the Fate of the Norns Ragnarok Core Rulebook with you. It's 367 pages and full color interior. This is something we ended up kickstarting back in 2012, and it was the second book released after Fafnir's Treasure. And so I'd like to take a moment to give a big thanks to all of our Kickstarter backers that are listed right at the beginning of the book. You guys are wonderful. So, Fate of the Norns Ragnarok, as the title implies, takes place during Ragnarok. So, unlike your traditional Viking games where you're trying to avert Ragnarok, it's too late here. You're neck deep in it. And the sun and moon have been devoured, Fimbulwinter has started, and the chronology is set about 3 years into this apocalypse. So, everything is cold, perpetual night, and as you can imagine, society has broken down. Now we get into the grievances that the giants had against the gods. Both sides had a ton of grievances that led up to the start of Ragnarok. The first chapter walks you through all of the mythology that leads up to Ragnarok, and then the second half of the first chapter moves into the trials and tribulations of those who have survived the apocalypse and now are rising as heroes in order to shape the second, third, and fourth ages of Ragnarok. And obviously the players are among those. Now the kingdoms of Midgard are not in good shape either. The main kingdom, the kingdom of Norveg, was created by King Harald Fairhair, and his death coincides with the onset of Ragnarok. Now he was a promiscuous bastard, lots of highborn and lowborn kids, and when he died, he didn't leave any clear lines of succession. So as you can imagine, around the time of Ragnarok, all of his kids end up splintering the kingdom and fighting for the throne. And now the kingdoms to the south have also turned their attentions on Midgard to the north. They heard that the heathens spoke of the sun and moon getting devoured, and all of a sudden, as they're pulled into the whole cataclysm that is Ragnarok, instead of having an eastward crusade, the Crusaders head north. Now, the Viking afterlife is extremely sacred and important and central in the myths. So looting the dead is not a de facto option. You can loot the dead, but it doesn't come without its own repercussions. So this is why the blacksmith archetype becomes extremely valuable in creating new wealth, new magic in the system, where pillaging the graves has grave repercussions of you. So then we move into the politics of the heavens. We cover the 9 realms, the 2 main factions that are at war, the Aesir gods and the ice giants and fire giants. And then we talk about the Vanir, the Dvergar, the Alfar. Some have not chosen sides, and so the future of how Ragnarok will unfold is still up in the air. Now, Ragnarok has 3 distinct magic systems. There's Runic Magic, which comes in the form of unlocking power from Yggdrasil using symbols. Then there's Scythe Magic, which is the magic that comes from the spirit world. And then there's Song Magic, which comes from the meat of poetry for those who have read the sagas and the myths and the Eddas. And then we get to the game rules. So, unlike traditional RPGs that use dice, Ragnarok's core mechanics are resolved using runes, more specifically the Futhark set of 24 runes. Every character will have their own customized bag of runes, and the Norn will run with 1 or 2 sets of runes, depending on how high level the campaign is. And instead of a character sheet, everyone has a playmat on which they move the runes to resolve actions, mark their damage, set conditions, things like that. At the most basic, every rune you draw, you can think of as any generic action or cinematic action. And as you play the runes, if you've drawn 3 runes, you've got 3 actions. Then, if you take it up another level of crunch, each one of these symbols is tied to specific powers your character has. So by matching the symbols and playing the specific symbols, you'll create effects that are very specific to your archetype. And then, if you take it up another level of crunch, well, the runes, as they get combined together into rune chains, adding runes to an effect will change the way the effect works. You can add range, area effects, maintain effects, and other really interesting ways of managing the RGS, which is the game within the game. Creating your dweller. So the main two attributes are essence and destiny. Essence is everything that you are, your life force, your memories, your skills, and destiny is the effect that you can have on the world around you. And so as you go through the character creation, you've got a couple of upgrades that come to you as a result of having previous characters that have potentially gone to Valhalla or Glisisfalir, the Viking heavens. Now, mind you, the game does not reward suicide, it rewards epic play. So when your character dies, and it's a dangerous world, you will die, what happens is, you will draw a rune for every epic deed that you did while alive. And you are not allowed to speak. It's actually your allies, your warband, that sits around the table, and as your body's being cremated and offered up into the heavens, they recount your epic deeds. And for every epic deed, you get to draw a rune. And if there's a match between a rune that you drew and a rune that the Norn or GM draws, then you'll hear the Valkyrie song, they'll pick you up and bring you up into the heavens, and you as a player will level up. And that unlocks additional abilities within the game. And this is what you're looking at here. You can get troll-blooded, and these effects don't make you more powerful than the rest of the party, but are instead there to enhance your role in the party. So everyone wants you to get into the heavens because your new abilities, your added abilities, make you more party-friendly. Now, anyone who's familiar with life path systems, there's a small life path system included in the Core Rulebook that allows you to quickly generate things about your character in case you've got a little bit of a creative block. You can pull runes to figure out your personality, your motivations and ambitions, your social standing in terms of what your occupation was prior to Ragnarok, before you became a hero, and then potentially some social connections that you have within the world, and if you're really stuck, maybe even a character name. Now, building your character, it becomes a little bit interesting here. If you're familiar with tech trees, instead of tech trees, you've got skill boards and power boards. You start in the middle of those boards and select powers moving horizontally and vertically, you can't go diagonally, and binding those abilities that you unlock to runes that are in your essence bag. And then we get to the archetypes. The first one is the Galder, who is the rune caster. He's the master of Runic Magic. He's also a very competent warrior, and this is his skill board, which is a 7x7 board. The outer ring is only accessible if you have previous characters that have gone into the heavens, and the corners of the board allow you to multi-class. The next archetype is the Maiden of Ratatosk, the Shield Maiden. She is a Maiden of Mischief. Then the Scythecona, she is the one that wields scythe magic, the world of spirits. The Skald, who is a singer and practitioner of song magic. And the Ulfhednar, the raging berserker that can shape change into a wolf the size of a horse. There are other archetypes that are presented in the Core Rulebook, which could be added to flesh out your world, and they fully become playable in the first lore book, which is Denizens of the North. We also present the Einherjar and the Son of Muspel as playable archetypes for those who manage to get 5 people in the heavens, which means you can actually take your old character that went up into the heavens, retool them, and they're back again in the game. So don't throw away your old character sheets. The monsters are also generated in the same way the archetypes are built. They have 5x5 boards for their powers and skills. And this keeps things really, really fresh for the players because every time they encounter these creatures, they could be built in different ways. And some of these creatures found in this chapter are Thanes for the denizens, for the dwellers. And it allows them to have companions like familiars or wolves. Then we move into the power lists. So you've got the active powers that list what their abilities are in and out of combat. Then it moves on to passive powers. So these are abilities that are always on. You don't need to effectively play a rune to trigger them. And then there are the skills, which are abilities that take a lot longer to utilize, and those are usually done outside of combat. Then we get to the equipment. There's a bunch of mundane equipment, and then we move into magical items, which are presented. Some of these you'll find directly from the sagas, the Viking sagas. And then there are tables that allow you to make your own magical items. There are a heck of a lot more that are presented in Denizens of the North. We have a monstrous chapter in there for magical items. And then at the back of the core rulebook is a introductory saga. So it's for starter characters, and it's a murder mystery whodunit. There's a banquet, some royalty shows up, something goes awry, and well, the players are caught in this intrigue. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a good murder whodunit. And it takes place on the island of Atloy. And lastly, the book has a bunch of printable materials, which you can get for free off the official website. And that's the core rulebook. Everything you need to play under one cover. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you liked the video, like us below, subscribe. We'll have a bunch more videos coming your way soon. Bye-bye.